At the end moment of my life, I saw a great light. As to how I died, I don't even remember, as there were many who would have wished for my death. I wanted to figure out about my death, but now I don't even care about it. As to who I am, I was a king known as King Grey in my previous world, and now living my life as Arthur, and this is my journey. My father, just after me being born, wanted me to call him Dad. To think people like these exist in this world confuses me about what kind of a world this is. As few weeks flew by, I learned both my parents, Alice and Reynolds, were great, but sometimes childish. With little to no control over my body, the only activity filled me with hope were my frequent visits to the market with my mother. Magic was also a part of this world. Even after I led armies and defeated many representatives of the world, the thing I became the most proud of was when I first started crawling. When I saw how cute I am in the mirror, I knew I was about to cause heartbreaks for many ladies in the future. My routine consisted of sneaking into study and learning more about this world's geography. While learning, I found out that the technological advancement of this world is low. As the world is more based on magic and mana, as it is very similar to Ki, with which I lived in my world. Being a little different, I was able to understand it well. There were many differences to people who use mana. The basic idea was one. Even this world's knowledge said that mana manifested naturally during adolescence. And I used my previous life's knowledge to attract mana into my body by meditating. Little by little I started growing in this world. My dad being an augmenter and my mom being an deviant, I wonder what I'll be when my core awakens. To read, I had to use my cuteness as a weapon on my mother that day. I finally awakened while blowing up my house in the process. My father rushed in to save me and saw me levitating after destroying the whole house while I awakened. After that day we had to rebuild our house. And my mother started teaching me how to read and write. My father even started training my physical body, and I don't know if I could say if a 3-year-old could understand his instructions. I started learning my mana manipulation and augmentation. My father and I had sparring sessions regularly. I had to spar with my father to get permission to study. My mana core, which was black due to impurities, slowly started changing color, which were divided into many states, but the general idea is that the lighter the color of the core, the purer the mana. I couldn't get a lot of privacy due to being just a child. My father wanted me to have a mentor, but my mother was against it, not wanting me to leave, and gave me a say in the discussion. I thought they had something wrong in their brains for letting their kid take his decisions. I asked if they could join the journey and they bursted out laughing. My dad's old friends Twin Horns joined us on our journey to Xyrus. They were the group who helped us rebuild our house. They were party with 2 conjurers and 3 augmenters. I was so happy on that day because I was about to see the world with what really has to offer. The next day we met up with the Twin Horns. Adam is the leader. Angela was a wind magic specialist. Durden was a conjurer with earth magic affinity. Jasmine was an augmenter. She was a little cold at first but interesting, and lastly, Helen was also an augmenter who specializes in archery. We started on our journey. It was great. We fought many wolves on the journey. We set up a camp in the middle of the night, and around the campfire we spoke a little bit, and my parents bragged about me being a mage at a very young age. Adam requested a sparring session with me. I wouldn't actually call it a request because he dragged me. We actually started sparring after my father-son telepathy didn't even work. Even though my brain could understand my moments, my body wasn't able to keep up. In the middle of the fight, I remember the Newton's third law. For every action, there is an equivalent opposite reaction. I got a little hurt because of that. But the sparring stopped, which was the great news. When these people asked my father how he taught me this much of fighting, my father couldn't say anything and just told them truth that he didn't teach me anything. He just bought me a wooden sword and I had learned everything on my own. In order to not raise any suspicion, I just told them that I learned these by watching my father training and from the books I read. They wanted me to teach some techniques. I taught them, but they kept falling and falling but slowly made progress. It was to my wonder, but Jasmine was the one who made a lot of progress. She learned fast and she even surprised me as how she understood my instructions. We continued our journey and we had many laughs in the carriage, but, while on the journey, a group of bandits surrounded us and started attacking us. The bandits wanted to sell our bodies. My father and the Twin Horns started fighting back. My mother and I were the only ones in the carriage. As to the bandits' attack, the carriage broke and my dad was pretty hurt when my mother tried to heal his injuries with her healing magic. My father asked me to protect her when I tried to fight with the bandits, as healers fetched a lot of money in this world. They would try to get my mother as soon as she heals my father. He gave me the responsibility to protect my mother and myself with my unborn sibling in my mother's belly. I accepted to take the responsibility. While fighting them, I protected my mother, but with the bandit I also fell into the cliff, where a mysterious power just saved me before dying. While falling off the cliff, I had a glimpse of my previous life when I retired being the king and left the throne. I remembered how I lived my life being an orphan in previous life, where I only lived to become the strongest. In the process I lost everyone I cared about. I saw the dead corpse, the bandit, and puked. As I slowly regained my consciousness, I took the knife from the bandit's body, and that's when I heard the voice of the being which was talking to me, and it started guiding me to its location. I had no choice but to follow the voice, as there was no other way for me to return to my parents. She showed me a vision to where she was. On my way to the place I saw a lake and wanted to take a bath in it. While I was bathing, I had a little conversation with her and she insulted me as she were saying there was nothing to see. It definitely poked a big hole in my heart. Thanks to studying the world's geography, I understood after falling from the cliff I should be near to elven territory rather than through the human territory. While entering the cave I slipped and fell on my head, giving me a concussion. I saw the being which was talking to me, and I had to say this, as it's the truth. I was definitely horrified by the appearance, but still she was pretty great. She agreed to make me a portal so that I could meet my parents. And as it would take some time, she gave me enough food to replenish my energy. As I learned more about her, being her name Sylvia, she was a very nice personality. I started believing the saying was true. Never judge a book by its cover. Many questions raised when my heart, like who is she and why is she here? The thing I prefer to not ask her about that right now, because I don't know anything about her really. Slowly the distance began to decrease between us. And she also started calling me Art, explaining the place we were in is between Beast Glades and the forest of Elshire. As Sylvia left me to take rest, I even felt sorry for how alone she was, and how lonely she would have felt for a long time. She even told me that she couldn't perfectly know where my family went, but all of them are safe, which gave me a huge relief. In the next few days Sylvia and I spent a lot of time talking when she wasn't working on the portal. And I have to say she was very good from deep down. She was like a grandparent. She taught me a lot. She even scolded me when I was doing wrong, and taught me not to live my life just to get revenge on those bandits. She asked me to live my life running forward and learning from those experiences, but not to cloud my heart with hatred on them. She taught me a special way of absorbing mana while living normally, which magical beasts already do perform this, but normally humans don't. It took me a lot of time to learn that, but I finally achieved breathing mana normally. While I was practicing the mana breathing method, I saw Sylvia fallen on the ground. She made the portal. I understood she was like that because she made the portal, even though it cost her her own life force to make the portal. It was the time when I first started crying, and she began to comfort me in that position as well. At that time she showed me her true form, as she was a true white dragon. We couldn't have a lot of time to talk after she had her dragon form. I have to leave with her egg in my position, as there are many who were chasing after Sylvia would be able to find her now. Even if the egg was not heavy, I thought I couldn't be able to even hold it. She injected some weird power into my body and gave me her feathers to conceal the aura of the egg she had given. She told me that she had taken the chance to do the work slowly so I could spend more time with her. And she apologized for that and asked me to call her grandma at least once. As the fight was about to start, she threw me into the portal. While I was screaming, called her grandma. And that is the end of this episode. Subscribe to get into more episodes. Thank you. Be sure to continue my journey with me.